for Planet Green Trees.
We have launched.
We've completely launched. We've started the show, and it is Planet Green Trees. We're about to embark 2 hours of medical marijuana and marijuana reform in Michigan.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen, the Planet Green Trees show is underway with your host, Attorney Michael Komorn.
Alrighty.
We have launched.
We have absolutely launched. Welcome, everybody. You're listening to Planet Green Trees. And we are commencing our 2-hour podcast right now, officially episode number 483. Today's date, of course, is September the 24th, 2020. An unselected episode title. I'm your host, Michael Komorn. And, but it is, of course, officially 483rd episode. On this episode tonight, we're going to have a number of different interesting guests and topics to be discussing, hitting in a various number of, in no specific order, a number of guests that are going to be calling in and topics to be covered. Let me tease those a little bit right now. For those that are out there want to know why they want to listen and continue on here. Calling in will be our dear friend and activist Chuck Ream, founding member of Safer Mich and the recent DNA Decriminalization Initiatives in several cities, including the MMA and cannabis. What?
The end of that.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Exactly. He's a cannabis motherfucking pioneer. That's right. He is. He'll be calling in shortly. What time? 8:30ish.
8:30ish.
Chuck Ream, of course. And found out about the ballot initiative regarding the
magic mushrooms.
medical mushrooms. Medical. So let's see what else we have.
Medical.
Was I mistaken that someone else will be calling in that we can harass when they call in?
We've got Mr. David Rudoy calling in.
Oh yeah. Right.
And we have Frederick Nielsen is going to join us as well shortly.
Right.
That'll
It's
be a good conversation.
It's boring to a lot of people, but lawyers will be talking. And no kidding. The topic is we're going to try to discuss in some detail the bad breath testing scandal. Bad breath testing scandal.
So if you have bad breath, or if you...
You'll be part of the testing scam.
No, but it is
Thank you,
important
Steve.
for everybody to listen to that one, Michael.
Well, it's an interesting dynamic which unfortunately goes on, and it relates back to a lot of other scientific witchcraft that's used in as evidence to convict people every day in courts throughout the state of Michigan as well as in the country.
Sorry.
And it gives a little bit of example of just not following the specific protocols and the problems that the state is currently having in providing what's necessary to lay the foundation that evidence that they want to use is valid. Okay, so without over-explaining it, let me discuss our topics real quick here. In addition to Chuck Ream, we've got the Unlock Michigan 500,000 signatures gathered, now to verification. Correct me if I'm wrong before we get into the full-on topic, but they are not going to be on the November ballot. Is that right, Jim?
That's correct.
Okay.
They don't care if it's on the ballot. They just want to adopt it. Legislature just wants to adopt it so that the governor cannot veto it.
In other words,
And that's exactly what's going to happen.
in other words, if they get the signatures that would get it on the ballot,
They submit it to the legislature first, and the legislature has an opportunity to just enact the law. And
I thought it had to be verified first.
it does.
Okay.
That's
and then,
the hurdle they're going to
And before, but before it's put to a vote on a ballot at any time, the legislature has the opportunity to vote it in itself. One could say that the Republicans had an opportunity to do the same thing with legalization of marijuana.
They absolutely did.
And they chose not to put it up for a vote.
They seriously thought about it. They did do it with those other bills, with the other initiatives.
And one could say that because they didn't do that, and because it wasn't passed into law, there was a need for enough people that were going to come out and vote it in, and cared enough to come out and vote. And with that significant vote for marijuana that was still at issue came other votes for certain candidates that clearly benefited from it, right? And I was saying Jamie, I was, commenting on how genius it was if they were able to. I mean, genius for them, just in terms. I'm not favoring one or the other, but saying politically, strategically, playing the importance.
It was a dumbass move by the Republican Party, and they freaking lost when they didn't vote in the initiative.
Right. Okay. But they've done this in the past successfully. What do I mean by that? The opposite way. They've been the champions of this, having little minor silly initiatives on that are just bringing out certain candidates, Jim, that certain voters. Anyways, all right, let's go around the who's. So what are we talking about? We got that as a topic. We got the House of bills to expand expungement of crimes. Is it governor now?
Going to the
want to report that? Jim, I'm going to.
I can brief.
Question over about the DUI. That's our boys calling in from Traverse City areas. High Times loses their leases on the San Francisco dispensaries, and scientists find that cannabis extracts can help save bees from pesticide poisoning.
Cannabis is helpful for a lot of things.
Yeah.
That being one of them. Save the bees.
Yeah, save the bees.
This is episode 483, Planet Green Shows. Let's go around the room. We've got the Bunker Boys.
What's the title?
Title is
Into the Great Wide Open.
That is not the title.
By the time we finish the introductions, I'll have a title
Dirty
of the show.
Dan and
No, it's not that.
viral load.
It is not that.
It's right there. I'm reading it.
That's been used before, and it's
on
not
it's
even.
on there, Michael.
It is? Okay. That's too bad. What's the...
Yeah.
All right. Now we can get started.
Super duper.
What's the password? I can't get into the Zoom thing. Whatever. Bullshit. Bullshit. All
We're
right, listen.
Let's
Here we
go to a break, I guess.
No, we're going around the room. We got to introduce. All right, so we got those guys that don't, they don't even. I got Jim. What's your name? Come on, introduce yourself.
Yeah, that's me. I'm Jim Powers. Thank you for having me, Michael.
These ones have dairy.
It's good to be here
A derivative.
with all of you. Thank you to our audience for tuning in, and excited for a really great politically charged show tonight. It's going to be good.
We are in streaming live on Facebook, if I understand. Evolved Technology is working. We're streaming live on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Our podcast.
We're live. Our network problems are no more.
Downloaded on iTunes and Spotify. It's new stuff. It's all new stuff. And, of course, Spreaker Schmeaker. All right.
Spreaker.
And after we get to Jim Powers, of course, the founder of Michigan Parents Compassion, we got our... like a celebrity in studio,
Oh, yeah.
I guess at this stage in the game, we've been graced by his presence. He used to come by when he was not doing his own. But we're very glad to have him, or any time he's family, as far as I'm concerned.
That's your,
Our dear friend, I guess a podcaster in his own right, probably. Earl Crothers. Welcome, Earl Crothers.
That was a much loving introduction there, Komorn. But I missed you. It's been like 6 months, man.
It has. It's been much too long as it has been for all most gatherings, right?
I would have expected you to grow out a beard though by now.
Oh, it's going to be No Shave November coming up.
Yeah,
That's when everybody's
I've
gonna
been.
start.
I've had beards. Trust me.
See, I hear that's not very hygienic.
What?
That's why I stopped growing a beard, because
Really?
germs and things get attached in the hair and they stick.
It helps. It attracts COVID. I heard.
Nowadays, we have masks all on our face, so it can't be much worse than that.
The germs may be
I should
good
go for
germs.
The beard again?
The germs may
Yeah,
be
but
good
what about
germs.
the bad germs?
Who says that flat skin is, unshaved?
I think
I
there's
don't
been
know.
studies.
I'm not going to debate. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm just be devil's advocate all night.
Yeah.
This is
Michael,
not
I thought we defeated the Germans at Pearl Harbor.
funny, Alan. Okay.
You're going to be devil's advocate all night. How's
Earl
that different
Crothers is
from
here.
any other night?
Earl Crothers is here.
There.
Still trying to introduce everyone. Steve Miller is present with us tonight. Many of you know him as the
The Joker.
as the rover at Komorn Law, running the whole thing.
Joker.
Any position that needs, always just diving in there, making catches, pitches as it has to.
And
Actually, DH, pinch runner the other day. He was running some, stole second and third late in the game. We needed him to get in from home, and he did it.
That's right.
Unbelievable
me
catalog. Of
in,
course,
Coach.
in the 70s, you may remember from the Steve Miller Band, Fly Like an Eagle. But he's my dear friend. Steve Miller, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Dessert teas are around the table.
Indeed.
Last week I forgot. This week I remembered.
And And
Cheers
we're
to
enjoying
everybody.
It. Cheers,
Dessert teas.
audience.
Yep, there we are.
Oh, well, I'll cheers with my tea, even though it's
PGT and dessert
Alan?
teas. Alan?
PG
Okay, there we
dessert
go.
tea.
Dessert teas by
Jamie,
Esteban.
what are you toasting, Jamie?
Estabano.
I mean, we should mention, as long as there's the understanding that there's this
We're making a
dessert
toast.
tea that is being
Okay,
consumed on
excellent.
top of the consumption of a huge spread out here, the best spread of any podcast in the city.
Best spread.
If it, whether the content of our show is good or bad, we've got the best spread. We are rated #1 in spread surrounding the podcast, and of course, we will. It's going to be tough to defeat us when you throw this dessert tea on top of it. I don't know. I mean, someone try to stop that.
People
I
shouldn't
don't
even
care
try.
what
It's
you're
futile.
talking about.
Like,
Futile.
Nobody has that. That's what I'm
people are
saying.
going to want to start buying tickets to this, I'm thinking.
And
That's
there's
good.
vegan, and there's
Yeah,
vegan-friendly
Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's
'cause,
vegan-friendly options.
There are,
here. This is-
absolutely.
vegan is a good way.
I mean, not for me, but it's good for
Well, for many
you.
people. For
It's
many
not
people.
demanded of vegan. There's a lot of, like, what is this, some lamb out there and stuff?
My wife's
I
vegan.
said vegan
It's
options.
Okay,
fine.
well, you
I
have
know all
Oreos
about it.
are
I just I
We've
like.
got some
I just
standard
like
milk.
meat.
We've got some
Almond
almond milk. We got
Well,
some.
for desserts, dessert, who cares, right? I mean, it's not, we're not, it's a tea. We're not, it's not a food. You know what I mean? It's a tea. So we're not eating like, you know.
It's a dessert
So it
tea.
doesn't
It's
count.
a gourmet.
That's what he means. It doesn't count.
No, well,
He's making his own rules up.
no, it's,
This
is
happens
not
a
milk.
lot.
this is not milk.
No, yours is made with almond
Right,
milk.
there you go. Okay, so
Is
And,
mine standard or
Ours
vegan?
has
doesn't have to be.
the,
Did you get one?
The pumpkin spice.
That's what it is.
cream.
All right, listen, let's finish this nonsense already. Sorry. Amanda Joslin from the Elevation Station here. She's got her reviews of all the dispensaries. You better be careful if she comes in and
I
make
do.
sure that you're on your top behavior because Amanda will tell you.
You know,
shopper.
you know,
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, Amanda.
I totally love going around to the dispensaries and seeing what everybody has. And yes, Michael, I do have some posted reviews on the Elevation Station YouTube channel. And go ahead and check that out. We also have a bunch of stuff on the Planet Green Trees TV and Komorn Law YouTube channels. So
Excellent.
give it a subscribe.
Oh.
There's a.
Subscribe.
All right. So, and of course, Attorney Jennifer's here from Komorn Law. We're in the corner over here. She'll be answering all legal questions regarding.
Legal corner with Jen.
And she's also got some dessert tea.
Right. We'll flap it over. As we're talking about, of course, we have Alyssa McCormick on the Zoom over here. Alyssa McCormick wearing the great T-shirt right there.
On the Zoom.
Present.
Superstar lawyer.
black t-shirt.
Komorn
today.
Law. We've got the Rasta Rabbi. And, of
Oh, yeah.
course, the...
With the bling.
with the bling. you
Uncle
know.
Alan.
Even though it doesn't look,
Alan
it's
Peisler.
like as I keep saying, it looks like he's got a bike chain around his neck there, kind of, but it's not that. I know we've clipped with that.
They're little marijuana leaves,
Right.
and I just want to
Bike
say it's
chain.
a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here on Planet Green Trees. My suggestion for the title for tonight's show should be RIP RBG. And I just want to say it's great to be on this show, the best medical marijuana show, sponsored by Komorn Law. If anyone ever has a problem with marijuana or criminal defense or anything related to the justice system, their first call should be to KomornLaw.com. 800-656-3557.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate that much. And somewhere driving, not looking at the camera, but zooming in.
He's being attentive to the road, so as not.
Please
to,
be attentive to the road.
He didn't look
It's
like he
amazing.
was right there.
But
He
he's
looked like he
also
was looking
zooming.
down at the console into the phone.
He's certainly.
Jamie,
He was.
keep your eyes on the
was.
road,
certainly
please.
not a distracted driver.
Holy moly.
No, not Jamie.
No.
Mm-mm. No.
He's focused.
No.
He's often been referred to as the man responsible for everything. I want to point out that I think this guy's like a new category for like how productive someone can be when they're on a Zoom call. Last time we called him, he was like, "Okay, here I'm getting on the Zoom," and like got his keys, got a car, he drove somewhere, shopped, ran around, did some stuff,
Yeah.
got back in the car, running around. You know, like I don't know. I usually have to be, you know, sitting still, but it didn't. He ran it good. So here he
a
is.
Multitasker.
He may even
extraordinaire.
give Alan a challenge in the Zoom capabilities. Alan's usually more stable on that, but they each offer a certain talent, you'd say, for Zoom capabilities. Please welcome Jamie Lowell. Jamie Lowell.
Like your glasses, Jamie.
Jamie,
Yeah,
you're looking quite dapper today. What's going on? I've seen a change in you recently.
turned
You're
over a
feeling
new
good,
leaf,
looking
obviously.
good, feeling good.
Well, I turned 53 not too long ago.
No, you didn't.
And
I thought you were
I
35.
I've matured a little bit. because of that.
Okay. Distinguished, how we.
He's got like the Clark Kent.
It's the sweater.
Yeah.
It's sweater weather now.
When is the cardigan coming out? The cardigan. Lacoste cardigan.
Oh, there've been a couple busted out already this year, but on a regular basis, right around the corner. First day of fall was just a couple days ago, and a lot of cool nights expected, and that's when those old cardigans kick in.
So we'll have the
Do their
viewers tune in next week to see what cardigan you're going to choose.
Sure. Yeah, well, in this show, which hoodie I'm going to be putting on.
Oh, okay.
So, Jamie, any updates?
Yes.
Just real quick before we get to some of the topics, we'll take a break. Last time we talked to you, you were spreading fear, whether it's justified or not. You were up there as a warrior in your, tights with the cape that everyone envisions you in, that dynamic duo thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
But just funny. But
a little glimpse into Michael Spank Bank. Yeah.
I would not.
That was a good comic.
I would not. I'm okay with that kibitz because obviously brought it up, and I'm okay with it. All right. So, but in the as you were up there, in your costume, yes. What happened? Any good news or bad news?
I don't think that we had a chance to really to amend the laws for the expungement bill. The cannabis one is relatively weak. You had Senator Irwin on here a few weeks ago discussing it, and he was pointing out the problems with it. Nothing's automatic. It's limited to misdemeanors, and it's only for possession and use. So it has some work to go, and hopefully we'll do some of that in the next session with a more favorable composition of lawmakers. Just trying to get a little rally going to get word out about it, to at least expose this issue, with the lawmakers just excluding some of the things that are now adults are able to do under the MRTMA that is not allowed to be used as a basis for expungement, and just to make sure that people were aware of it. We can still let the governor know. She could request that those changes be made before she signs off on it. But the reality is, it's a 5-bill expungement package. They're tie-barred. There's really no expected changes this year, and they did it earlier than I thought. We were kind of expecting them to do it either later this month or early next month. So I didn't really get enough time to make a big deal about it.
It doesn't mean that some marijuana convictions felony convictions can be expunged. It expands to 3 felony convictions of other things, but doesn't do anything automatically for marijuana. It doesn't make
do anything automatically for marijuana. It's only misdemeanors, and it's only possession and use.
It expands the total number of felonies, though, that you can have.
It automatically expunges felonies.
As part of the other bills, there's some of that stuff that goes on, but specifically the cannabis bill.
Yeah, but it would fall as long as it's under 3 felonies. It would fall under this bill.
Oh, you're saying that you had these cannabis felonies, you could utilize some of the other ones.
Right.
If they're older than 10 years and less than 3.
That's only if it's only automatic.
The difference is
less than
that we're making legal now.
Less than 10 years.
A lot of the stuff you can get expungement for has not been made legal since then. So
it's got to be 10 years from the conviction date.
To have it automatically expunged.
Okay, but you're eligible otherwise.
Yeah, you can still petition.
7 for misdemeanors, maybe.
Yeah, it's 7 for misdemeanors, 10 for felonies, and you can petition the court immediately.
So conditions overall are better than they used to be. There's still room for improvement, though, and the cannabis one is a little frustrating. As far as the other stuff goes, people are now very aware that they left out speaking to all legitimate stakeholders about this, and there's been at least some beginning of people reaching out to others about that. What that turns into is yet to be seen, but it is now very well known that there are a lot of people unhappy with the idea of the acts being opened, and especially being exposed to lame duck and the things that they were planning on doing, and potential issues that have been seriously discussed.
Nothing good.
Right, listen, that was the fear-mongering that you were doing last time, and justified
but
you.
with,
So what's happened?
With a supportable basis in reality, fear mongering.
Yeah.
So what has happened is those who are doing it are very aware now that there are a lot of people upset with how the process has taken place, and there's begun to be some discussion of reaching out to try to amend for that. If that actually happens, maybe we could do something. I still don't see any possibility of something reasonably being done and being agreed to by everybody, in this session. But they could start to assemble a work group and go into next session with it, and then maybe we could do some sensible, functional, efficient changes, make things more broad and that type of stuff. But that's not the direction that some of the people working on it want to go. So we'll see how that works out. But for sure, the idea of not having much input, not having much time for scrutiny, and it being exposed to people who are going to be wheeling and dealing and lame duck is not a great situation. I definitely don't support that. So we'll have to see what it means that people are now aware of that this has not been a good or fair process, and see what they do with it. Everything is the same as far as I'm concerned, with the disclaimer that now people are aware of it and it's claimed that they're going to do something about it. So we'll see what happens with that. Not expecting any miracles.
Well, you should go into politics. That was a really politically, a lot of words like I don't know. I mean, listen. So
You need to say the disclaimer.
all that's happened is some people know about how outrageous it is, but that may not impact it. I mean, we're talking about the lame.
It usually doesn't. Usually it's lip service, like, oh, no, I didn't mean that. Oh, no, we got to include you. Oh, yeah, that kind of shit. It turns out to be a bunch of bullshit. That's what I'm scared of. But we have to see what they actually do or what actually happens to really know.
Right. They're aware of it, and that's all that there is. And there's nobody's gonna. And if the greater, stronger powers want action to be done, it's either going to happen or there's the winds of them knowing about it is the only thing standing in the way. And the only thing we're talking about is what? Opening up. Let's stop for a second. We'll take a break in a minute and come back with the Chuck. But Jamie, let's just
nothing good can come of opening the axe.
Let us just identify some of the things that we would be talking about. No one's making these as suggestions. What are the concerns? What are the general concerns? Well, we're talking about reducing the number of plants a caregiver could have for.
How about eliminating caregivers?
Yeah, that's, I think, the biggest.
How about eliminating the right to grow in your own home?
There's many little things in there, man, and
that's not a good.
Zoning.
No, that's one. Okay.
It's just too risky to let it go right now.
Of course. What would be the? There's a question. What if? It's always bad to open any of this up because you get into a.
We're talking about eliminating all of the hemp language in the MRTMA. There's no reason to do that.
I saw that. I told you when I saw the language of adding flowered plants, for some reason there was a lot of other chop and cuts of their redefining. Returning to the definition of what marijuana was before the hemp law. That's inherent in, and that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. That was a good bill for the micro businesses because it added the concept of flowering plants instead of just plants, right? And then you would have like veg, and there's more, and more of a flow, and you're not as, empty, so to speak, to fill your shelves if that's your only source. But there was a lot of other bad.
The people really pushing this don't like that because they're the manufacturers, the largest investors in the state. They don't like the idea of the small business having a better situation.
Exactly.
So they actually don't like that part of it.
But I felt like that. Okay, whether they are against it or not, I felt that in doing so with this opening up with that, there was also this this attempt to utilize the definitions to redefine or return to marijuana instead of what is now and should be considered the cannabis sativa L plant is hemp by default.
Right.
And there's there's stuff in there. And I know Alan mentioned the idea that there's a lot of unsynchronized definitions between the three laws and whatnot, and maybe the solution is in the for the legislative solution.
Yeah. But there are things that make sense, but there are many things that don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The things that it might make sense to discuss is just a bridge to get into the island of the act, right? And then start chopping shit up and throwing out what they want. That's all I'm saying. That's
a fear, right?
It's a reality.
Exactly.
That's the whole.
Yeah.
So I was projecting, or worst case scenarios. We got caregivers that are obviously of a concern. I mean, we've said maybe in the past that if you would have said to me that in 2019, what year is it? 2020 now? 2020, still, caregiver supplied at least 40% of the market, right? We had Andrew Brisbane on. See that on our YouTube recording from his live interview. But in the month of July, he was discussing and was quite proud, I think, of that the state of Michigan in July brought in $109 million in sales, 52 of which was medical, 57 which was recreational, and he claimed that 60% of that market was supplied by licensed growers, licensed through the state of Michigan, which was his proud of. Most it's ever been, but it still says that 40% of the market must be coming from caregivers, right? So, and to suggest that back in 2016 when they passed the MMFLA, when they had their own source of marijuana already and could have clearly relied on that, they created this new source, gave them license, idea licensing these other new sources. Everyone thought that was it. It was over, right? But here we are, X amount, so it's been a good run. I mean, I'm not saying it should ever end, but here we are, and I think...
the quickest way to make it end is to open up the acts.
Right.
And if you don't think that they're going to take their shot while it's moving through the legislature, you got another thing coming. It is.
It's interesting. It's interesting. The state of Oklahoma, Jamie. We may have discussed this. Let's just throw out there. Oh, David Rodoy has joined us. David Rodoy looks like he's in his office.
I was gonna mention Oklahoma and how small time producers of cannabis can still participate in that whole thing, and that'd be great. Using that as a reference to include, and when we open up the act, those types of things should also be considered. Well, we can't just open it up,
Right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. And I just wanted to kind of explain what we're saying here. The state of, we can all debate where we are, what laws apply, and if we're going to make changes, what are the things to look for. And the concerns are kind of, and I think even within the business community itself, there's a battle amongst themselves of big business and mom and pop. They all have, there's some different interests within those groups themselves, Jamie, right? Would you agree with that? David, there's different interests within there. You have clients that maybe more mom and pop and want, they would just want to be a retail place, and they're, up against a vertically integrated, grow with.